morning. Welcome to FM Corner. I'm Danny Koontz, Director of Relationship Management for Windy City Equipment. Today we're going to talk about a subject that affects the vendor side, but also as a facility manager, there's some good points I think that are going to be in this presentation to listen to think about it. And it's about what happens when you lose a customer. So again, it's more for the vendor side to talk about what happens, but also as a restaurateur doing facility work, you can also think about what are your responsibilities when you decide to part ways with a vendor or the vendor decides to part ways with you. Most of the time, the customer makes the decision to stop a relationship with an existing vendor and move on. And usually that's because of a history that hasn't worked out the way that they wanted, new rules inside their own company, pricing, service limitations, whatever, something like that. Or sometimes a facility manager changes and a new person comes in and they want to set up business with companies that they're more familiar with. Any of those can happen. From the vendor side, the only reason it really usually you stop doing work with a customer is one of two things. One's financial, you don't get paid that over a period of time. That's one. Second one is sometimes the amount of time spent on the account is just over the top. In other words, you are in a fight over every single invoice that comes in over and over and over. And at some point, it's just dragging down time, dragging down profit. But typically, when a customer decides to leave, what should you do as the vendor? First and foremost, take a long look at the history with the customer. Have an honest look. Where are we? Did our company as the vendor make mistakes? Did we cause issues that have caused problems for our customer? Take a look at that and be real about it. Where are we? Do you understand why? If you do understand why, then that kind of helps you in your conversation with the customer. If the reason doesn't make sense, you haven't done anything necessarily wrong, or the customer believes you have, but you don't, you owe it to your company to have that conversation and try to defend your company. Not as a means to hold on to the account, because that's probably not going to work, but to defend your company, because in your mind and based on what you know and what you researched, you didn't do anything wrong. Once the customer has decided they're going to leave, ask for examples. Ask for what caused it to go wrong and see if they'll tell you or send them to you and let you know. Hopefully, once you get that information, then sit down with your team and have a really good, honest discussion of this is why they're leaving. And here are the issues. And you basically acknowledge that these are real issues. You need to talk about it, not to save that particular customer, because odds are you won't, to help make sure that it doesn't happen again. Seems to be one of the hardest parts many times is acknowledging that we as the vendor can be wrong. We are wrong sometimes. And then what do we do to make sure that that doesn't happen again as we go forward? Always during this discussion with the vendor, between you as the vendor and between the customer, is be professional. Even if it's going south, even if you don't believe or you have a very strong opinion you didn't do anything wrong, but the customer wants to leave, they're going to leave. It doesn't matter. Be professional. That very same facility manager you're talking to may end up in another company someday. Never burn a bridge. State your points, but at the end of the day, the customer will make the decision that they want to make. Remember, small industry. Everybody knows everybody. So be careful what you say during these conversations, even though sometimes they're very difficult. Let your customer know if they're leaving how much you appreciate the opportunity to serve them. Appreciate their feedback. We'll work hard to correct any issues on the vendor side of the business. And you hope that maybe again someday that opportunity will come back to you. Sometimes it does. Customers leave, they get mad, they get upset. Maybe it's not a long history of stuff happening, it's one issue, and they decide I'm going somewhere else. Well, maybe that grass doesn't turn out to be greener. Talked about that many times. And they decide to come back. So you want to leave that door open if the customer decides to come back to the company to do the work. Send a follow-up to the customer saying, regarding your wishes to move to a different vendor, here's kind of where we stand. These are the things we need to do. We have 6 open invoices to get cleared up. We won't be taking any more work orders after such and such time. If you're the facility manager, please notify your restaurants that you're moving to a new company so they know. Otherwise, we're going to get a work order from them and we don't know what we're supposed to do. They say they need us for service. You have said you're moving to another vendor. Let us know what you want to do. You need to speak to your team. And then make sure everything gets closed out. Part ways. Thank them for the opportunity again to serve. And you move on. You take what you've learned from this particular customer and you make sure it's applied to future customers. You have a conversation with your team, like I said, and your leadership team, and you talk about this is what went wrong and this is what we need to do as we go forward so that it doesn't happen again. So whatever gaps, whatever holes you have in your system, clean them up, clean them up. And again, the main topic of this is to be honest. If you're a person that you are the representative for the company on the customer service side and you're dealing with a customer, you typically know. You know why they're leaving. You know exactly what the reasons are. And if some of them are on your side as a vendor, you got to get it fixed. If they're not, you want to make sure everyone understands this is what happened. These are their reasons. We don't agree, but at the end of the day, the customer decides where they want to go. And then make it a smooth transition. If you don't get the customer back or the customer wants to move, let them move. You hope for another opportunity somewhere down the road. Pushing or giving in to them or, okay, we'll lower our rates that we've had in place for 2 or 3 years with you just so you'll stay. All you're doing in them is giving them the opportunity to go, okay, next time I threaten to leave, they're going to give me something else. Hopefully the deal that you put together with that customer was fair. It was correct, the charges, and both parties had agreed. When you start giving away service or giving away prices or something like that to hold on to a customer, it's going to lead to more and more requests. It just is. So hopefully you have a good deal in place, but you stand by that deal. Otherwise, you're going to keep giving stuff away over time. Again, sometimes it doesn't seem right or fair would be a term to that you lost a customer because you necessarily didn't do in your mind or based on your knowledge of the account, you didn't do anything wrong. That happens. The customer just may decide to go a different way. And I always remember, and I was taught this a long time ago, fair is a baseball term. Doesn't apply in real life. So it might not be fair. That's okay. Customer made a decision. If you own a grocery store and they've been coming to your grocery store for 2 or 3 years and they make a decision they don't want to come there anymore because something happened or whatever, you might probably didn't do anything wrong. But you can't do anything about it besides thank you for all your business. We hope to have opportunity to serve you again. So again, when you lose a customer, make sure you learn from it. What'd you learn? Did you learn your company's doing the right thing and it's just a customer whim they want out? Or did your company make a mistake or a series of mistakes? If you did, fix them. so that the opportunity to keep the other customers you have in play and deliver great service to them is always there. That's our episode of FM Corner for today. Thank you as always for listening. We look forward to speaking with you again next week.